It is Wednesday, August 20th, 6 p.m. I'm calling to order the monthly meeting of the Coast Creek Community Services District. Let's start with Pledge of Allegiance. All please rise. Flag is in the corner.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call starting with
Jerry Lincoln, Logan Johnston,
Scott McVeigh,
Beverly Fickus, Sam Beaver,
Jim Wadley, and Joe Lambert.
and Lincoln, and then Mrs.
and I'd like to recognize our Chief Plant Operator, Bill Paul Mason, in the audience, and our District 5 Supervisor, Chris Kelstrom. Good to see you both. We have open time now. If anybody wants to bring up anything that is not on the agenda, now would be the time to bring it up. If not, then I'll wait a few seconds in case you feel you need. No? Okay, then we'll move on to the consent agenda. Does anybody have any questions or corrections on any of the minutes or the bills paid or P&Ls? We'll start down this direction. Dr. Lincoln, no? Dr. Johnson?
Did we, the amendment that was sent today, that's the May, June, July budget, was that inserted into the consent?
No, because the packet's the packet. What I did is I sent information over the board. It was just, because what happened was we combined May, June, and July all together in one P&L. It was a miscommunication, so I just sent out, in case there was any questions, information on what they actually are, so the May, June, July are separate.
Okay.
Right, May and June together, they close the fiscal year, July is the first month. Coming down to Director Beaver, any questions, comments? No? Director Frigas?
Yep, on the minutes of, regular meeting on July 16th. So it is under number 8, Proposition 218 study, second paragraph from the bottom says that Director McVeigh said that the Prop 218 process must be concluded by September 26th. I guess we just need to clarify that it should be or could be, or
yeah.
should, but it's not a must.
No, it's not.
Okay, and then, so also, which I forgot about, number 12 on board member items, that, it says that I indicated that the phone calls are automatically rolled over if we have a busy signal. I don't know if that's for all the calls, and I thought someone was just gonna check with Agility to see if that was, so that, I just wanted that clarified that, I didn't, that's what she told me, but I didn't know if that was an actuality.
It did happen to me just a couple days ago when I tried to call in the office.
And you got a busy signal, or?
No, I got a recorded
or-
message and then the answering service picked up. So I called the alternate number
Yeah.
and Mark picked up.
2 things to clarify on the transaction detail account, and one was for Vin Wallace, the T2 certification reimbursement. I asked you about an odd amount, that just, the $66.79 is just odd.
It's for the license itself, not the testing or anything else. It's just for to obtain the license. It's a separate.
The license fee
Yeah,
itself.
it's much more.
There's a very similar amount for Mason in there as well. I
Yeah,
remember seeing $66, so that must be.
well, the 66 didn't bother me, it was the 79 cents that bothered me. It was just like, who has a certificate for 79 cents, unless it's some online thing. Shasalofco, I actually did a whole bunch on mine, so I can't see the amount, but it's 5,000 and something. I believe last year we paid over 6,000.
Yeah, so
Yes.
in 22, we spent 4,300 and change, the next year was 61, and then the last year was 68. And then this year, we got a lower one, and I'm almost wondering if it's because they closed the office and they reduced costs, but it's based on the percentage, and so they only invoiced us for 50,000
don't think so, but we have a LAFCO member back there on the board, Chris. But I think Paul had actually taken out, we had, was it grant money that we thought maybe, or something that was adding to our expenses?
Yes.
Or, and
Income.
it was listed as income and it really wasn't, so I'm hoping that that's,
Oh, if they made an adjustment.
yeah.
Mhm.
See, they don't really show their work, they just say it's based on net operational costs. and
Right,
They don't have.
right. So if we took out those expenses, or that income, it really wasn't income, cause it was reserves or something that was being listed twice or something like that.
Yeah.
So we actually had an increase, didn't we, Chris?
I don't remember. I remember them talking about the share that the participants paid, but I don't remember what it was.
It was 1.99% in member contribution.
Okay. All right, and I think, and then I don't know what we wanna talk about with the profit and loss, other than it's not,
Yeah, it's mixing fiscal years when you do it combined like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
so I can move that we accept the consent agenda.
I still have a couple items.
Oh, okay,
But that's okay. So if you're done with yours.
I am.
Okay, on the P and L, having gone through it, I noticed that, just mainly for the board and communities, information, our, income for the base rate came in for those 3 month, that 3 month period at 96% collected. But when I did the calculations on our 1081s, it came in at 105%, so I asked about it. Seems we have a superstar out here who's been going after those who haven't been paying the 1081s, and she's starting to collect, so we came in well above. Thank you, Emily. Picked up just a few extra $1,000. Then the other question, and I did bring this up with you, Jim, was the OPEB. What is that, 50,540 on your P&Ls? It seemed to come in awfully low for a 3 month period, the OPEB. We had $6,850, and if I remember correctly, having looked at some of the prior ones, that's extremely low for a 3 month period.
And I think it's because of the unfilled positions that we had at the time. So we had account clerk that was unfilled, bookkeeper unfilled, GM, and so when I came on, I'm not benefited, so there would be some savings shown.
So that was separated out then from the actual amount we're paying some of the retirees, because we had about 8,500 a month, I thought.
When I was sitting with Shireen, it looks like everything is good to go, we just had some savings.
Oh,
That's what it looks like.
that's some nice savings, good. All right. And we talked about the need to separate the fiscal years and everything else. Can you give the board an update on when the budget actual will be for last fiscal year?
Yeah, so we have, right now, with some of the turnover, we're just behind in a lot of the reconciliations that are needed. So since Shireen has started, and she's been here, is it a month and a half now, or 2 months almost?
2 months.
So she has done, over 50 reconciliations, and when we do a reconciliation, it's actually pretty exhaustive, and I'm gonna give you an example of why the year-to-date's not ready for last fiscal year. There's still some work needed on the revenues alone, and the revenues itself, because we can look at the bank statements, we can see that the money's there, but how it is allocated into which sub-account, which ledger and sub-ledger, that takes the reconciliation. It's very manual means and double checking and how you code that. So we don't have an accurate representation. Like if you look at it today, the revenues are like 150,000 low, and the expenses are also low, but we're running a surplus. But it's not accurate on either the expenses, because PG&E for many months has not been added. That's a pretty large expense.
Yes.
And then all those revenues that we know are sitting in the bank, that once we're done with the reconciliation, that is gonna have a much better picture as well. So it's not, it misrepresents. If we were to have something right now, it would look really bad. But there's just more work to do, and Shireen said if nothing else gets done in the week, she can do just the revenues in 1 week for one reconciliation. It's quite exhaustive. So it's just a matter of resources and allocating the available resources to all of the needs. Some of the other things that she's working on is the OES grant that we got with the GPIA claim. So we were at one point thinking that we have to pay back $250,000, and we actually found some stuff that we can reduce that. So the
If I
payback
can
is actually-
interrupt, can we save that for the manager's report? We were still trying to deal with the consent agenda.
Yeah, but as far as, she's been working on a number of things, she just needs one more week, one solid week on the revenues. So I would think, I can give them informational and include it in the next packet.
Any other questions?
Yes, I went through this, and one of the things that stood out was, and I know this is maybe 3 months, but the answering service was like 12, and it's number, 5130, was $1,261. So I called Emily and asked her, and so she's gonna look into that and see if there's anything that we can do to find some way to reduce that. Plus, she and Mark are not real happy with, the way the answering machine is, answering service is, dealing with you guys.
Yeah, they put you on, if they're putting us on hold when they call, that means they're putting customers on
Oh, yeah.
hold. And it can be up to 10 to 12 minutes.
Ouch.
When they answer multiple times, I've heard like children or dogs in the background, so I'm pretty sure the service is just someone at home, and has that on.
Yeah.
So I did check with them, we have absolutely no contract, so we can leave at any time. And they're stating we received 348 calls last month, and that's why we had such a hard.
$600
Yes.
bill.
So we're asking them to provide us with the details of these calls, because we get reports and emails, and it's 1 or 2 a day.
Yeah.
So we're not sure where 348 is coming from.
Well, if it's a busy signal, when we call and it gets routed over to them, we're gonna be, there'll be a few that way too,
Yeah.
so.
So that's one of the things that popped out.
I agree with you. And do we want to ask them to do an RFP and see what else is out there?
Well, this is not the place on
No, I
consent
know.
agenda, so.
I agree.
Emily's already looking into it.
Okay, well, all right, anything else on the consent agenda?
I don't wanna accept the activity P&L again, so what do you guys think about that?
I don't disagree, since in the packet, it's not correct.
Correct.
Okay, so I think we will pull
Carry
out
that over.
the P&L for May, June, July.
So I move to accept the consent agenda with the corrections to the minutes and removing the P&L report, May, June, and July.
A second?
I said that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda with the removal of the P&L. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to drug policy.
All right, so this item, with the chair, the district's water supply is going to drought, and as such, we're required by California Control Board standards to have an enforceable water use restriction that aligns with state mandates. So we prepared a draft policy. This is coming forward now. It's not ready for any sort of adoption right now. What we're trying to do is plug in some of the gaps. We are required to submit this drought policy by October 1, so next month. What we hope to do is plug in some of these gaps that we're going to walk through and bring forward an ordinance that would satisfy those state requirements. So for example, some of the fees that are, depending on what stage that we are entering into and what comes down from the state, those fees will be determined, I think, at that time. And, but we just have to have a plan ready, and we utilized a guide provided by the state in order to keep up with the two, the bills that were requiring these changes. So our old policy was, I think, in 2009, maybe with some revisions, but it doesn't meet the new standards. So we have a time window of October 1st to get this complete. So today, what we're hoping to do is walk through some of the things that we think that this board would want to have input on and make some decisions. So Emily's done most of the footwork actually for
after the fact.
So what if we just have questions in general? You want that later?
Yeah, I just
Okay.
have the ones that I absolutely need you guys for. And then, if I can find them. Okay, so on page 21. So, well, one thing that was brought to our attention, I guess we should just go for right now, is the single-family resident customers, that chart in the center. The gallons per month allocated.
Yeah.
So those were the state recommended numbers, so I did the math. So for 1 to 2 people it's 0 acre feet usage, for 3 to 4 it's 1, 5 to 6 is 2, and 7 to 8 is 3. So I was thinking you guys would want input on what those numbers should be.
We actually have to adjust that based on allocations. And, there's the health and safety formula, but it also would be based on well production and whether we go through, McConnell and purchase water, or if the Bureau actually gives us even a partial allocation.
So be to be determined upon drought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Drought stages, access to, when I first got on the board, it was 29 units per customer. And there were some, reasons to apply for additional water if you can justify it. Schools, hospitals, or if you were doing a daycare or things like that, or medical necessities. But it was based on the ability of the district to provide water. And we did up that to 40 units right away.
So I think that what you've got here is for normal drought. And what the board did was have to do some emergency or drought ordinance or addendums to fix that based upon what the water usage was.
But we're looking at a catastrophic plan.
But water allocation plan,
Right.
and that is based on what.
Doesn't matter what else we can get somewhere else.
Right.
Well, no, it's based upon what's in your document.
Yes.
And the document says, if you've critical water shortage, if you're gonna have a 30 to 40%.
Exactly.
And so, if this is just like USBR,
Yes.
USBR.
yeah,
Yeah.
USBR. So that's an emergency stage 5 or stage 6, which is the critical or catastrophic. So that's what this is based on, is just if the USBR doesn't give us any water.
Right.
Or they give us a 50% or less, or if they give us
30 to
nothing,
40, yeah.
then we're gonna have to revise it. Then it would
Right.
have to be revised. Okay. I need you to explain that to me one more time though, based on what this says. Persons per household. If I have 1 or 2 people, you're going to give me how much water?
So it's 100 or 1,500 gallons, which converted to acre feet is 0.
It's 2 units.
It's 200 cubic feet,
Yes.
and then it converts to 0.
No. If you took, but I wanna just know how many gallons per person you're going to give me.
Oh, 1 to 2 people, you get 1,500 total.
How much is that per day? It's
Divide that by,
divided by 30, it's 50 gallons per day. And what this says though, it used to be, the state was 55 gallons per person.
right,
This does not say that.
no,
This says 50 gallons for 2 people.
yes,
There's
and that's not even health
one
and safety.
sprayer is 30 gallons, how am I supposed to spray anything? But where did that come from?
The state recommended.
This is a boilerplate off the state.
So we don't want that.
Okay.
No.
So we're gonna put to be determined upon.
Yes,
I'll put
the
that
board will
footage
determine
in.
the
Oh,
allocations.
So do we have to do gallons per month?
We've done
Okay.
units in the past.
Yeah, we
I was
always
thinking we
units.
could do a table with both, perhaps, the gallons.
Per
and break
100
it
cubic
down.
foot, which
Per
we
cubic
classify as
feet,
1
yeah.
unit. It's 748 gallons, not 750, but I don't care about a gallon here or there.
So, okay, so yeah, that's terrible.
Okay.
So, I I wanted to go down to the master metered multifamily residential customers, because this didn't make sense to me either. So this is saying a master metered dwelling unit is any residential dwelling, duplexes, mobile home park. Okay, so I have a duplex, let's say, and I think we have one over off of, Happy Valley, there's a triplex or duplex,
Yeah, there is.
okay? So,
Oh,
so I have 2 units, you're still only gonna give me, so I've got 2 people in each unit, so now I have 4 people, 2 over here and 2 over here in this duplex, and you're only gonna give me 50 gallons a day for
So if
4
this
people?
one is gallons per month per unit. So.
Oh,
if
per
you have-
unit, I
so
missed
one
that.
person or
But it
2 or
also
3.
be-
Okay,
instead
see,
of
all
per
right,
unit.
I missed that, okay.
Which would be the same as having
Yeah.
2 homes and 1 meter on your property.
Okay.
But so with this one, we'd have to put to be determined
I all do the
also.
same.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So then if you go to commercial customers, right under there, the percentage of customer usage in the past 12 billing months.
So why do they get special treatment?
They're restaurants, they're.
I
Not
just-
necessarily, we just have to determine what percentage doesn't give
Yeah.
them special treatment
Okay,
compared to regular.
according to this, they're going to get, they're gonna get preferential treatment. Industrial customers will too.
We should print out and compare our current drought plan with this.
I was-
Because we do have one in place.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 2010.
Uh-huh.
No, there's one from 2020 or
21, 22.
Yeah,
It's there, we used it, and then when we got the first good wet winter, we,
yes,
Canceled it.
there's a current one, cause we were charging people, I wasn't on board.
yeah,
$1,500 if they went over.
penalties.
Penalties.
Well, it was a scale of penalties, and it's in that drought ordinance.
Yeah, so how do you wanna do that to make the timeline? Do you wanna have a special meeting just for that?
We have to have it for October, right?
Yeah,
So if we do this, we should be able to take care of it at the September meeting,
we
and
can,
still have, our new GM submitted in a timely fashion.
let's see if we can get that all.
And
There's
if you get
two
this-
different, bills that we gotta comply with, cause we'll compare with the old one, but we'll also show why it doesn't meet the 2 bills.
Right.
that we need.
And if you could get it out to all the board members,
Okay.
10 days or 2 weeks in advance, so we have a chance to
Informational.
review, and then, email back with,
With comments, okay,
recommendations.
that'll work.
then we can speed it through.
That's, good plan. Okay.
Okay, more questions on this?
Well, she needs to go to her next page
Okay.
where she
Oh, that's
wanted
right.
to go.
Page 22, the highlighted parts.
Special
I don't have anything highlighted.
Just,
Well, I don't know.
Well, I printed it off my computer at home, not
You
in
wanna
color.
see it?
Okay.
Highlighted, starting here, distribution.
The source of alternative water supply,
Okay,
distribution of alternative water supply, special consideration to residents that are elderly, disabled, lack transportation. Special consideration for sanitation.
I don't know what to say.
Is this,
When we had to do, when the board had to make that determination when everybody only got 29 units, it was across the board, that's what everybody got. There were some variance requests for large families, but I don't know that the board at that time,
At first, no, but once it was bumped to 40, that pretty much took care of it.
we all could live in 40.
Yeah, well, most of us. The only other thing I see that might not be on here, we have an ordinance for supplemental water, and I don't know if that should be included in this, because we do have that separate ordinance to where if there is a drought, and the district can acquire water, we can offer it to some ag customers at whatever the water costs, and there's a whole procedure to follow for that.
do we have one of those for elderly, disabled, and lack
No, it's
transportation?
mainly designed for your ag
For the ag.
customers.
So you got that verbiage from somebody else's?
So this is, the state gave us a specific template for Clear Creek with holes.
Right.
And then
Oh.
our drought policy, and then it's merged, that way we can meet all the new legal codes.
So do we have to label it medical needs or health and safety, something like that?
Well, the elderly usually use less water than anybody, they don't like to bathe.
I don't.
Well, not exactly true, but, sorry. They generally use less water overall, they're, they're very, frugal with their watering outside and stuff.
Couldn't you just add, the supplemental water under these bullet points in this section?
Possibly. Do we even need it in there because it's a separate, policy?
I'll look at the regulation to find out if there's any wiggle room on that.
And
And we'll
then,
advance the recommendation based on.
And it's all based on whether the district can acquire it. And then we would advertise how much it is and give, customers an opportunity to buy. I think it says at half acre foot at a time. They have to pay for the water in advance. It's not refundable. It does not carry over year to year, water years. And, then they would, on their bill, pay for the, process of going through the water treatment plant per unit that they use beyond their allocation.
cause I can't quote it for sure, I'm pretty positive this is the section that needs to be addressed, because it's, more ADA compliant, it's more, like,
Right.
we have to have a plan for that.
So do we need to mention ADA or medical
Maybe, yeah.
requirements?
Okay, so I'll look into that and make, okay.
So the special consideration, is that only for alternate water supply?
Yes,
Okay.
So alternate would be anything other than the bureau or our wells. So that would be if we purchased from a common.
I mean, are we talking about like, well, the elderly, disabled, or, what's elderly, by the way? Maybe-
Yeah, what age? Am I old Terry, are you elderly?
but probably legally, if they tell us they're currently elderly, we can't.
I mean, are we looking at like a percentage, like they would get like 5% more?
Yes, I believe that's what it's. But it also says lack of transportation though.
Well, what does that mean?
It means they can't go to the grocery store and get water for themselves to like drinking
Right.
purposes.
But if we are providing 30, 40, 50 units per month, aren't we covering well beyond the basic health and wellness? At 50 gallons a month per person,
Per day, 50.
50 a day, yeah.
So 435.6 is an acre foot, 435 gallons?
No, that's the number of units in an acre foot. Each unit is 748 gallons. So your 2 units at 1,500
Yeah.
is your basic health and safety. And if we're providing 30 or 40 or more,
They're well within there.
they're well within. So are we beating a dead horse here, or do we have to have some verbiage to be in compliance?
Some verbiage.
Probably not.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll double check that and make sure it's in the information.
Maybe I'll find a suggestion that you all can.
There you go.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what you sent out to us.
Yeah.
So the collaboration, though, down at the bottom of that page 22, the community committee doesn't necessarily meet on it anymore, but the foundation might be a resource.
Okay.
And then I thought the fire department might be a
So I
resource.
saw that, and then the fire department is on page 23 as our local fire agency.
Okay, so then, well, what's collaboration with community services? Are there any other groups or organizations that should be included?
We possibly may want to include the, veteran cemetery, because they have a certain way, you've got schools that we have to serve it more than the basic units.
Yeah,
Also, we provide water only at no meter charge to the needs camp.
The schools is on the back.
Okay, so the schools are covered. Yeah, I think I remember reading that.
but the cemetery's not, so
Yeah.
that's a good one.
Now, we to the school in Igo, do we not?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure that
Okay.
that school is listed.
That's okay.
And don't we provide water to the veteran cemetery?
That's what I
That's what I said.
mentioned.
I'm sorry.
And the dome.
Well, water trucks.
Yeah.
Keep the dust down, stay in compliance with air quality.
And then I think my last question, page 25. The very last line, the decision on the variance request will be returned to the customer within plain days. So the
Oh,
customer,
when they request a
when
variance.
they request a variance, I need a number on my days.
What, 14 days?
Yes.
You don't want to overburden the staff. The last time we had a drought, we had these variances coming in, I was volunteering in the office and I had stacks, just massive stacks. Everybody was applying every month, you know. Most of them were, hey, but I'm not sure.
Who does the responsibility of accepting or denying a variance request?
Well, we would give direction to the general manager, who would give direction to the staff.
So it talks about, it should talk about the variance process.
Yeah,
And it says general manager, and or designee, I think somewhere.
Clear Creek, director,
Or the
district
directors or designee.
or designee.
right,
Which you guys
which
do.
we would then direct our general
Correct.
manager to take care of.
Calendar days, just to be.
Board, 14 calendar days?
That's 2 weeks.
Yeah, okay, 14 calendar days. That way you're not overloaded, and it's still a reasonable time to respond.
Okay, so those were my questions, so I'm ready for you guys.
There were a number of things I didn't like about this boilerplate, because they don't fit our situation.
Well, if you have some concerns, we can dive in and see if there's wiggle room.
We can spend an hour going through it now, or we can simply email in.
Email those in.
Yeah, I think I'd rather email in than spend an hour going through page by page.
Well, I already sent mine in.
Okay.
Yes, which I did make notes on it.
This was just discussion, any other discussion?
Just
discussion.
At this time?
Yep.
No, sounds good. Moving on to general manager employment agreement. Now, before we get too far into it, would this be an appropriate time to do an introduction?
Yeah, we can do that, so.
In the audience, we have the next general manager, Dale Mancino. So Dale, if you don't mind, just give a greeting.
How you guys doing? Thanks for letting me be here. Just a little background about me. I've been in the water industry for about 18 years, coming up on 18 years. I started at the very bottom as a distribution technician. So I was down in the trenches in 100 degree, 115 degree heat, so I know what it's all about from the bottom all the way to the top. I love the mountains, I love hiking, I have 2 beautiful children and a loving wife, and I'm just happy to be here. I love the small town feel of this. I grew up in a small town just like this in Southern California called Valley Center, and this reminded me just like it. So I'm just happy to be here, and hopefully I can help get things going. I plan on hitting the ground running. So,
Board, any questions?
you guys have any questions?
Community, any questions for our upcoming GM? No?
Welcome.
No?
Oh, you're getting off easy.
Thank you.
Okay,
So.
we have a discussion first, if necessary, on the employment agreement. And then the action.
I read it. and
Yeah. Agreed. We didn't have that one correction, correct, on the 90-day?
Yes, that was changed.
Okay, it's good to try and change the 60, right. Okay, anything? No? This is an action item, I need a motion to approve signing the agreement.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, with a motion and a second to approve the signing with our next general manager, Dale Mancino. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You're stuck.
Alright.
Do we have, are we
I
doing
have
that?
to
Yes.
sign
Thank you.
Jim, are we doing that now?
See?
Are we signing the agreement now with the starting
We
date?
do it after the meeting.
After the meeting, okay.
We won't let them leave yet. Congrats.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to you.
All right. Okay, so the next item, was another hat that I was wearing here. I was brought in to help the district with, grant services. And so that agreement was suspended when I was appointed as interim general manager. And so now that, Dale is on board, what staff is proposing now is to reinstate that same agreement. And the only thing different than the original agreement is the ability for the GM to actually, instead of banking some extra hours that are not used, to maybe pull some hours forward so that the whole objective is to stay under the total not to exceed amount. And so, so if there's a need for, a grant crunch to get something in, a lot of coordination, you can pull some hours forward without having to amend the contract to increase it. And the other thing is to actually increase some of the extra services to helping with program management, project management, agency coordination, just some other tasks that may help Dale succeed is, providing sort of deliverables that he can use as an extra resource. So instead of increasing, it would be allowing him to do grants and then any other type of a task that would be relevant to the district's needs. So it's just a way to open the door. We can always just reinstate it starting October 1st. So my overlap with Dale would end, I think, on the 26th of September. And so then just starting a clean month, October 1st, so it can either just go back to the original scope or allowing Dale to pull hours forward and maybe using them on some other pressing matters.
One thing that Jim and I discussed also was the possibility of making himself available, normal business hours for the first 90 days. If Dale felt the necessity to call, had questions, that we would pay $500 a month for that for the first 90 days. Max of 90 days. If Dale doesn't need any help after the first 30, then we can go back to just the original agreement. This is basically, the idea was to set our new GM up for success, so that if there were questions, he had a source to reach out.
Is that in here?
Not
that part, no, because when I submitted this just to provide a flexible path for Dale to exercise. So just to make sure you guys know, the total not to exceed is $9,900 in a fiscal year.
correct.
So it's pulling hours forward. So you depending on the grant cycles, you may have really busy times throughout the year and other times it's less busy. So being able to pull those hours forward to get something submitted, maybe within, his judgment on, hey, I could use those hours now. And if it ever needed to, down the road, you can always increase it for a different need. But to get the district started on that outlay, that capital outlay plan, and where we can attack some, put in some applications. I've been bird dogging a bunch of opportunities, and I'll go over one of them. Actually, I'll go over those in my GM oral report, but what I call is like a pay for access. It's more like if Dale called and said, hey, I have a situation, how would you handle it? What can you tell me about policies, or what should I do for board packet? Now, I think board packet stuff he can get help from staff. But a deliverable would be more of what I kind of already do and bill by the hour. The phone calls and stuff, what I was just kind of doing is obviously I'm attached to this place. My normal rate that I do for pay for access as consulting is $450 a month. A month. And it goes up from there. So this is 500, and this would be, if the board wanted it, I would make sure it's amended in the agreement, but it's unlimited calls and unlimited texts. So, I'm not gonna answer at 3 in the morning, but I will, you know, get back to Dale, so I wanna see him succeed, it's only for 3 months, so if he needs some extra time, you know, I'm willing to help him out while things are still fresh in my mind, you know, strategies, soundboarding things, it's just another resource, so let's say he gets some kind of input from PACE Engineering, and then he brings something to me and says, hey, is this a good strategy? I can, you know, provide some input on that, and that's again, I'm just offering it for 3 months, you can help them out.
Is that something the board's okay with?
It's outside my normal scope, and I didn't wanna, if you wanted to do that, I think hourly rate at 125 would be bad, so.
Yes.
I think, you know, I just wanna be available for Dale to help him succeed, and it's just an option that he was asked if there's anything else I can do to help make it so it's a good transition. So that was just something that I already do, and I'll be doing for far cheaper.
Director Lincoln, comments, questions?
I think it's a good idea.
Okay,
Good idea.
I don't like it.
you don't like it?
So-
Okay, Rick, I don't know.
Sure, so what if Dale calls him once? What if Dale calls him twice? $500
Yeah,
a month? Yeah,
for 1 month.
No, because it's a fixed, so we're saying it's like 500 a month, so it's capped at 500, he can call all
Okay.
he
he wants.
what?
He can call all he wants, so.
No, let's say he only calls you once.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yep. Well, yeah, I mean,
It's
hopefully he takes advantage of it. If he-
But you're also going to be there with him for the whole
For
month.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I thought you said you switch over
So
October.
he starts on the 8th, and I end on, I think, the 26th, yeah,
Yeah, right around there.
just 2 weeks.
And if he only called you once, or you would just say, you know, you don't really need me, and we would stop it then.
I would be done on the 19th. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I'll be there.
Of September?
yes.
It was an ask, and I said.
I brought it to him as a possibility.
I don't like it.
I do.
Well, you've got a general manager that's supposed to step up, get in, get his hands dirty, and go. There's resources out there. What did you do, Jim, when you stepped in? You just had to get your feet wet, your
It
head
was
wet?
about like walking around blindfolded, but he's gonna have a really good download, so the 2 weeks that I am gonna be with him, it's gonna be a fire hose, so it's, but then after that, I can tell you when I was here, it took me 2 weeks before I could even really have a conversation with anybody, and about 4 weeks before I got all the names down, but once I saw something, I was like, okay, I understand, and then when that came back around, I was like, oh, what was that, you know, how did that happen, what were the details? So, those are the kind of circumstances. It could be, yeah.
Yeah, even with 18 years' experience,
I know.
we're a different, animal over here with different challenges. You two seem to be okay with it, Pam, you're okay with it? Do we do it for only 30 days, 60 days? Everybody, I don't know. I want a discussion.
Could we do it for 30 days, Jim, and then, if we saw it wasn't necessary to say, you know, we don't need it, or if we saw it was necessary to continue it?
30 days after I'm out, so
Right.
while I'm here, he's.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Right.
what we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, 30 days fine, I just wanna see you guys.
Well, could we still get the deal after if you need
That's
it?
fine, you wanna reinstate it? Yeah, just don't tell them this year.
Our original intent was for it to be up to 90 days, but it didn't have to go
Yeah,
that
it's,
far.
however, whatever you
Right,
guys
yeah.
need, and right now, it's, again, remember, it was a grant services agreement. I'm building a library that I'm gonna be handing over to you guys. It comes with one free grant application, I've already verbally said, and, you know, I can even change it in this agreement, but there will be multiple applications provided, because, again, I wanna do that. Water Management would donate extra applications, because I will have the libraries I need, and I will just be filling in blanks, it's really easy to do. So, but it comes with that free grant application, and so that's a service you've already elected me for, and I'm just gonna be reinstated to that. If you wanted additional help with what, besides grants, I do more than just grants.
So 30 days, okay?
Yeah, if I think 30 with an opt-in,
Okay, since this is sort of an action item as an amendment to our agreement with them.
I think the motion should be clear on what you want us to see, so,
Right,
so we could reinstate with the language as the amendment number 2, and with the pay for access option for verbal,
or text.
consultation through call and text, unlimited, I'll put that in there.
Okay, for 30
For
days
30 days with the option of
extension.
extension.
Yeah.
Okay,
Anybody wanna make a motion?
I make a motion that we
Accept.
accept that with
So then-
with the addition.
Yeah, so that first month will technically be an increase to the 9,900, so that'll, as long as this motion does that, it can be added before signing,
Yes.
before signature.
Okay.
So that'll be an increase, a separate paragraph for that.
Fair enough. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
Having a motion and a second to amend our agreement with Wadley Management. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay. 4-1. It passes. Next item on the agenda, item 7. Community advisory, Prop 218 process. If you can give us some background on RCAC and.
Yeah, okay, so just a quick trip down, memory lane for some that we are facing a Prop 218 study that we need to do by, September of next year. And I was directed to engage RCAC in the last meeting. And so RCAC is a nonprofit entity that will assist us with performing this rate study that will meet all of the requirements, the state requirements of, gathering information on costs for the district, whether it's capital projects, personnel, any sort of operational costs. And when I engaged RCAC, it took them, I think, a little over a week to respond back to me, but they had said if we executed an agreement with them today, it would take, they can't get to us for 6 months, so they're 6 months behind. So, looking at the constraint of time now, the only thing that's required time-wise is there must be a 45-day hearing prior to the budget hearing process. So that 45-day requirement, and then kind of working it backward, that's all you got left, assuming we have 6 months with them to then, have the community advisory committee engage this process. And RCAC also will not advance this study unless they have a CIP, a capital improvement plan. So that is something I'm working on with a separate grant that we're trying to get funded. And I'm gonna have to fast track that, and I've already spoken with PACE, and we have a plan to provide a CIP for some of the known issues that we have right now, because the other grant app is a planning grant to do a water asset management plan. Think of it as a master plan, it'll have your 20-year plan, and so it'll do like an assessment and prioritize all of your capital projects. So we already know, based on some of the studies that we have, the preliminary engineer's design report for the treatment plant, that can be carved out and run separately. We're not waiting for that master plan. So we're gonna be advancing that and trying to get a design and very likely environmental funds to, for the CEQA, and if it's federal funds, we'll have to do NEPA. But anyway, we have, so RCAC is gonna wanna see a capital improvement plan. So we know the treatment plan is needed. We're talking about whatever tanks that need replacement, maybe expansion tanks. Well, number 1 is out of service, so we know that's a capital project. So we're gonna try to put together as many known capital improvement projects that we can do with engineers' estimates. And those engineers' estimates will inform that 218 study to figure out, okay, we will need to, some of these project fees may drop off and these other ones will need to start. So there's gonna be some movement on the bill, but they will come up with a recommended rate for Clear Creek. But again, the most important thing is the community, RCAC can't get started because when you look at the California dashboard for safe, affordable, there's a dashboard specific to all the water districts. We are considered low risk or no risk, which is incorrect. So when I looked at the dashboard, there was one inspection listed since 2019. So whatever happened then, I don't know, but what I'm doing is I'm engaging the Division of Drinking Water. They called me about a complaint that they received, and I said, well, I got you. I need to talk to you about this dashboard. It shows on your dashboard, our median home income is $73,400. And I said, that is grossly incorrect. We are a disadvantaged community. And I actually found the last study that RCAC did, and when they completed their study, and this is in 2020, and these are good for 5 years, the median home income is $35,659. So number one, I want to show the district this study and say, look, your 73,000 is bogus. We need to use these numbers until such a time we have new numbers. And we also need to have you take a look at some of our conditions. I'm putting together a heat map of every single break that we've done that will list the resources used, the materials used, the time down, the number of customers that were impacted, how long they were down for, how many boil alerts, things like that, because, for the last year, our distribution supervisors have been tracking all of that. Now, going back, I don't know that we have all of that exact information tracked, but I am going to utilize the 811, which is called Before You Dig, database of every single time that they were called out for a break. I'm going to put those in a heat map of where it was, and I'm going to show the water board. We have a ton of breaks here. We are at risk. We are at risk of failing. The treatment plant has immediate needs. We need your help. So that is going to hopefully move those needles over to risk, high risk or at risk of failing. And we're not failed, but we do need their help to be able to fast track some of these projects and get funding. And right now we're not eligible. We're not even eligible for RCAC to do this study. So I have to get those needles moved and then immediately apply for technical assistance through RCAC, who uses water board funds for technical assistance. So that's kind of a sequence. So that capital project has its own little timeline that I'm trying to fast track in order to, complete the process to do this rate study. So that's just one piece. We also are facing an MOU renegotiation for the end of next year. And if there's any changes to staffing or pay or anything like that, that needs to get also inform that 218 process. So you get one shot for 5 years on doing this right. And so we have to capture costs, and the objective is you can't be profiting off of the ratepayers. You have to be net neutral. You have to cover costs. So we have to demonstrate the personnel needs, the basic trends, and then the personnel and capital. So there's a lot of pieces here. Dale's gonna be busy, but he's got help. But we need to be moving on this stuff. And so as far as an update right now, RCAC can't get started until we move some of those needles and then apply for that. So hopefully that didn't make any sense, but yes.
Just as a question, are you gonna add like how many gallons of water that was lost in the breaks with each of those hotspots? When you do the hotspot map and stuff like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's supposed to be tried.
We do track it, yeah.
So it'll be a pretty interesting map. I'm gonna use Google Maps because we don't have any money to do anything. So I'm gonna bumble around and try to get that in there. And you can have a nice little heat map, and it's gonna be very eye-opening, because the other thing that I wanna mention to the Division of Drinking Water is, they consider disproportionate costs for repairs when it exceeds 20% of your total distribution budget. We're like over 60%. So that, a lot of this new data, they're gonna be overwhelmed, and they're gonna have no choice but to update everything. It's just how fast. So I'll see what I can do outside of the process, if I can get them to at least give me a letter and then get RCAC, and I'll try to do whatever I can, but the key thing is to make sure we are shown as eligible, we need it, because those funds are so limited, you have to be in those categories in order to get funding, at least from those sources. And then later on in my oral report, I'll talk about other ideas and strategies.
Let's bring it back to the board. Any questions or comments, concerns about working with RCAC?
Well, if they give us the type of rate study that they gave us the last time, it's not gonna be good.
And I did make note of that. We want to make sure that the needs of the district, they understand that we intend to fund most of them through grants, not rate increases.
Right.
That's what they did last time.
Yeah, that's my objective, because if there are 100% funding out there, then there should be no project fee.
Yeah. So we don't want to see 600 a month fees before anybody uses a drop of water.
What's the action here, Jim? Do we need to provide
It's-
you
this
with
was
direction?
a discussion, I'm glad you brought that up. So what we are, actually, I do have it as an action. Yeah, so.
Yes, and the other action is to discuss if that doesn't work, do we want to form a CAP again? Community Advisory Committee.
That's all this says it is
That's-
that,
yeah.
that's the only
Well-
thing we're supposed to be discussing is the formation of a CAP. That's it.
And I think the only thing that we don't know is when is that gonna start? I mean, we can start the process and say, hey, here's where we're at, and we won't have an update until we get this process started with RCAC. But at least we can say, we're starting the process, and as soon as these chips fall into place, we'll be asking you to come back.
So let's have a discussion about item 7 and the formation of a community advisory committee. And if any members feel it's necessary to look into it or pursue it, or do we want to just go with the RCAC rep and hope for the best? Comments?
Terry, you were on it last time. Beverly, were you on it?
No, I listened in, but I wasn't on it.
I was on it at the end, but it wasn't, I think we go with RCAC. They're gonna do a better job of getting the information.
Okay.
So I think it's a good idea to form a CAP, only because, you know, when we all as customers received that RCAC report, I mean, it was just kabam. And the board said that they were being notified ahead of time once we started attending. Well, I don't think they were. They didn't know what was even in the report.
No.
So if we did have a community advisory committee, could they be overseeing it, what the RCAC does? Could they have a more direct input, with that dialogue with the RCAC? Or, there's nothing we can do right now because we don't even have any data,
Correct.
you know, for the 2025 data. So, I see some advantages in having one. I don't know who can be on it because we're so busy with personnel and Centerville contract, there's no way. So,
I understand that. My thought was that it might be appropriate to run through the finance committee, but I know you're busy with that. We could form then possibly an ad hoc committee to work directly on that scope with a definite timeline and have them work with the ad hoc committee. That's just a possibility.
Well, I can see I agree with Beverly, I can see the need for it. I don't know where you're gonna get the bodies to help do it.
I understand. The other thing I see as an advantage is the transparency and probably ease of getting through the Proctor 18 process with the public hearing and whatnot. Because we've had community members already involved, you know, and kind of buy into it.
And where are you gonna get the community members is the
That's
problem.
really
Well,
where I'm at with it also, because at this point, it doesn't seem like there's that much dissatisfaction, and provided that RCAC has enough direction to not make the mistakes that we did in the past.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it stays that way. And while it would be nice to have community participation on this, I just don't know if you're gonna see that.
And if they could give us updates regularly to the board, I think that would be beneficial, and then we wouldn't need, you know, we could send back through the general manager to them to tell them, you know, what we think.
We may not hear until they've done the
I
rate
don't
study with the
trust them.
justification.
But I'm saying they should be able to give us periodic updates on what they're doing.
Well, they were supposed to come to a board meeting, that was right in their proposal or or in the plan, in that study that they did, that they were gonna come and explain it, and they never did come.
Yeah. We just have to hold their feet, you know, just.
Well, they are busy too, though.
If I may, we can solicit interest if you want, and since we have a little bit of time, we can, see if there's any interest in a community advisory committee, if that's, because then if there is strong interest, then that may help make the decision.
If you can get the bodies for it, or we can get the bodies for it, then I think it's not a bad thing to have, but I don't wanna have to have us fight to get community interest and support of ours through the CAC.
Well, Ben Swim was on it at one point, Dennis Posine was on it, who else was on it?
Cedric.
Erwin and Cedric, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't because I had my father to take care of.
So we're about to send out invoices, so we can do invoices, we can do Facebook, we can do the board, there's things we can do to solicit interest if that's.
The website. Do we want to do that right away, though, since all of our financials are not quite lined up and also our audits?
I-
We want to wait
I
till
think September would be a
October?
good month, but, to have a lot of things, but,
I would say yes, do it, because it may take a couple of months for people to finally say,
Sure, okay.
I'm interested.
How do we feel about
We
that at this
can
end?
solicit and bring it
we can
back
get
in
people.
November. That
Okay,
would give 2 months for us to try and get community.
fair enough.
Okay.
Works for me.
Caitlin had a question.
Yes, Caitlin?
I was gonna say, you should solicit now, so that way at least you have a list built that you can touch back to those people and be like, are you still interested, are you still available, what can you bring to the table?
Fair enough.
The other side of it, what, didn't you say, Beverly, last month, when we were talking about the RCAC, don't they take like a year to get,
They said it would take a year.
it would take a year, so we're gonna be 6 months out on them, which before we even get a study back, it's going to be another year from that, so we're already August now, so we're gonna be sitting in 2027 by the time we get a rate structure back, so we would just sit with the last
Possibly
year's.
It would
Yeah.
delay the implementation of it until 2027.
So we would just sit with the capped out of last rate structure, and that would just float us
Right.
until the new rate structure went
Now,
through.
if I'm correct also, our current Proctor 18 expires, and in July of next year, we will not be able to use a CPI to do an increase.
That is correct.
So we would have to stick with the current rates, okay, which would not be adjusted for inflation or anything at all.
So with that being said, would it be maybe feasible to create a rate structure of our own through a community advisory committee like we did on the last one, and have it be a 2-year rate structure, and then when the one from RCAC comes through, that lines up where it's ending of the one, and then you can start the other, so that just gives you a little buffer zone?
Possibly. Now, I know some places have done some recently. I know, Anderson City did a Proctor 18, was it late last year?
You still have to have all your ducks in a row.
Yes, you do.
Sure, and I mean, if we're still trying to get a capital improvement, situation going,
Mhm.
that still might take a couple weeks to a couple months, obviously. But having a community advisory committee, like, kind of use the base work of what was previously done on the last one, moving forward, just as a bridge, so that way we can still get our increases in to keep us going with the rates of everything else.
I would definitely recommend a community advisory committee for that.
Okay. Seems like the board is in agreement to go ahead and reach out and let's see what interest there is in the community.
We'll report back.
So we don't want to agree to form one?
It's discussion only, there's no action.
Well, this one says discussion action.
Mine says discussion, on 7, only.
Mine says action.
Okay.
Discussions.
Do I have a wrong topic for some reason? Because it only said discussion. on
Well,
it.
this says discussion action on the regular agenda, but
Okay,
on the page you're referring to, it does say
number 7,
discussion.
discussion only.
But if you look back here, it
Oh,
also
you're
says
on this
discussion
Right,
action.
and then the item 8 is discussion action. So we had some that were discussion only, some discussion action. So do I go by the individual numbers and it's
Yeah,
discussion
let's go by
only?
the memo.
Or do we go by the memo?
Yeah, the memo.
The memo says discussion action.
Let's do it right.
Yeah, I think we need it.
Discussion action.
I'm okay with that, I just wanna be consistent.
Yeah. The memo is specific to this, I know the agenda's there, but,
Okay. So, Mr. Kellstrom, are we within bounds by doing an action on it?
Sure.
Okay. You're on, you've been recorded, saying it's okay.
Well, it says action in 2 places, it only
I
just says
understand.
discussion in 1 place, so.
Fair enough. So that means, an action requires a motion.
I move to solicit community interest in the formation of a community advisory committee
Very good.
for the purpose of conducting our Proposition 218, that's a typo,
Yes.
rate study.
somebody was not here.
Yep. Do I have a second on that?
I'm saying,
All right, we have a motion and a second to seek interest from the community in forming a community advisory committee to help us with the Prop 218 process. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Proceed. Item 8.
Okay, so this one, we got a request from Director Weaver to withdraw from the Planning and Steering Committee effective August 2025. So with this vacancy, the committee chair or board will need to identify a replacement for everyone else. So,
Okay.
move this over to the board for initiating the replacement process.
All right, discussion first. Why?
because the personnel committee and the Centerville contract is huge. The Centerville contract, just so you all know, is gonna be, it's inadequate, very much so. And Beverly and I are going through it line by line. They're not gonna be happy with what we do. But
I don't care. As long as it's equitable.
We just wanna make sure that we have identified, and I'm gonna be going back 5 years
Good.
and looking at all the numbers. And I will be doing a report, and, so we're really gonna dig into what the actual costs have been, what the percentages are, and the contract doesn't say that they only pay 25%, but then that's what we've been billing them on some stuff, it's
Mhm.
only 25%, and I don't understand that, so.
All right, so any other discussion on the withdrawal of Director Weaver from the planning chair? No? Thank you for your service, you withdraw. Action, discussion and action. Who's going to join Director Lincoln on the planning and
I
steering?
believe I'm already the alternate, so. I will-
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, nice and easy, right?
Do we need an alternate on there, in case you're not available?
You say you say quit.
That's a whole other issue entirely.
I will volunteer as the alternate then.
Thank you, Scott.
Okay. That's
Do we need that as a motion?
probably yes.
You're voting.
Yes.
Okay.
We are voting, you're right. Okay, so I need a motion.
I move to accept, Director Johnston moving up as the co-chair or co-member of the planning and steering committee, and as the alternate, Scott McVeigh.
And to accept the resignation of Pam Beaver.
And also to accept the resignation of Pam Beaver.
A second?
I
Very
second
good,
it.
thank you.
All right, well, can you second that motion? Okay. With the motion and a second to make those adjustments to the planning and steering, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, Director Weaver? No? Okay. Wasn't sure if you opposed, withdrawn. General Manager's report.
All right, I'm gonna try to make this,
We can
short,
less than an hour.
before dark, okay. All right, there's a lot of good stuff, there really is. So we already kind of talked about the RCAC, engaging them and, the process required, the precursor of moving those needles to make us eligible. So as far as the grant update goes, I have engaged with, Shasta County. So with the help of Supervisor Kellstrom, I met, it's all a blur, I think it was last week or the week before.
I think it was a week before
Way
that.
before that, that's all over. I met with the county CEO, the deputy CEO, CFO, and Supervisor Kellstrom about utilizing the county as a pass-through agency for some funds that I identified through community development block grants. Now, the only thing is that it's it's not a bad path, provided the district does all the heavy lifting, all the work, and use the county as a pass-through, so the county would be the applicant. Now, the thing about that is the county has its own needs and own projects, so for us to be able to put in a request, it can happen, but we've got to look at some of the mechanics. This is kind of a new process, if you will, and so there's more discussions to be had before it can go back to the CEO and saying, yeah, we're okay with it. So one of the things that came up was, we've got to make sure if we're using the county as a pass-through, that there's no funds required from the county for any sort of bridge loan or anything. And if there ever is a need, we have our own process through our CAC for bridge financing. So we won't need any financing from the county other than just the grant paperwork and processes and reporting. So there's more work to do. I'm waiting. I don't know if the Assistant Director of Public Works responded yet, but I threw out tomorrow afternoon as a day to get together with him, and if not, it'll probably push to next week. And so I'll have more updates on that, but there's some other, really important things that are important to the county on whether or not this is gonna work. So I'll learn that, and we'll see if that's a good path. Now, that would have been for originally it was to replace a number of valves in the district that would be critical to reducing impacts when we have to make repairs. So as some of the residents will know, when we have a repair on one street, we may have to shut off, depending on where it's at, up to half the district. And so that is a high impact, and that would definitely qualify, especially disadvantaged community, for these CDBG funds. And but then that project kind of changed into a filter project for the treatment plant, which is, I think, a little bit more critical right now. And so that would involve the design and construction of the replacement of filter number 6, which is just limping along, if I can just kind of mention it that way. So that is still pending, and that's just an option that we're chasing down. Another one is quite interesting, and this was that water asset management plan, utilizing some agriculture funds that are just coming out to do a planning grant for this entire district. So it aligns with the agriculture initiatives, and it will help us in our process to assess the immediate needs and put that plan forward, put a formal plan forward. And having these planning projects that will probably identify studies and designs and other construction. So that is gonna be tapping the Western Shasta Resource Conservation District as a pass-through agency. So it's another out-of-the-box kind of thinking. It's not your traditional outlet for water districts, but we approached them, and one thing that was really interesting was that the Resource Conservation District is 100% funded by grants. So a way to kind of give some candy or some love to them for helping us is they would get the administrative, they would administer the grant project, so that they would get funds for their personnel for that project. We get the deliverable. So, and that's a process that they're interested in hearing more. So I think on the 27th at 9 a.m. I'll be at their board meeting doing a presentation about why we're asking them for some funds to kind of start this relationship. And what's really interesting is they could be utilized to help grant administration on other projects, but they also do permitting, which is just a nightmare. And I didn't realize they do permitting. So we could utilize them as a local partner to kind of help some county, some community projects. And, but they were wondering, why can't we just use our traditional water outlets? The water board and some other federal funds. And again, that gets back to that eligibility for those grant funds in our current, what they say is low-risk state. And we all know that that's not the case here. So I have to go and explain to them, look, that's a process that's gonna take some time. We're looking to identify this now and get this started, because that water asset management plan is gonna take approximately 16 months. So that'll have its own public meetings and stuff built in that basically says, here's what we've done so far, this is what we're looking at, and these are how we assess things. So what's interesting about the water asset management plan is we will get a GIS system. It's gonna be very basic, but we do not have any sort of digitization of any of our infrastructure. It's either on a paper map or in someone's head. And so we've gotta get this information on there. We gotta start tracking with some pictures, and they are able to locate with GPS some of the key infrastructure, but any sort of potholing to say, where's the alignment of this pipe, how deep, what type, what size, that's a $1,500 extra charge we're probably not gonna exercise per hole. So across the whole district, we won't be, that's just its own plan. So we're gonna try to get the GIS database updated in, our distribution system into a GIS database that will, number one, help all the other utility companies and contractors that are operating around our lines. They'll know that they're there and basically verify in the field, but the staff will be able to utilize them. So when they're out on a break and then they are trying to knock on doors and get a hold of somebody and they're not answering, they gotta come back to the office, find out who they are, get their contacts, make phone calls. And so it's just, having that stuff at the fingertips, and if they can ultimately, with this GIS being built up over time, they could touch a valve and figure out how many homes they're gonna turn off, and then notify, really easily, those customers only. But right now, the process is very intensive to do notifications. So for those that get the notifications, there's actually a lot of work and there's a lot of lag with that. And it's just a way to improve that, to get the best information available to the customers so that they know why it's down and then when it's gonna come back. And so having, with the limited resources of staff, having those tools will help improve our service to the community, start tracking things a little bit better, and we can utilize a better heat map of all of the breaks and stuff going forward. So it'll be, in a way, a facilities asset type of a tool down the road, but this is a planning project that I'm trying to get started because there is no formal plan, and that is the best possible way to get a formal plan. So that's another one that we're pursuing that's kind of time sensitive, so we'll go as fast as we can on that. And then I did some research before I went interim, and I haven't looked at it since, but my remaining days here as interim, I'm gonna be revisiting that and chasing down as much as I can to try to align and put a strategy together of what our priorities are gonna be and where our possible sources are. Because some of these grants, we may need the GM to get a certain resolution that says, they're authorized to apply for, and blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of work to figure that out, and I'll be getting back to that and putting the strategies together. So by October 1, I'll take what I learned from before, add to what I'm gonna learn the coming weeks, and then get back in grants. So that is an update for grants. Operational update. So the district experienced a substantial number of water line breaks in the last month. So our crew's been doing actually a phenomenal job responding quickly and effectively. We've had, in July, we had some pretty big leaks in Coyote and Flowers, and we had to, we called some contractors for some help, because it was outside of our capabilities according to staff at the time. But the next month, so far this month, we have rented equipment and did it in-house. So, we have significantly dropped the expenses utilizing, renting equipment. So think of it as the right tool for the job. And so we're gonna be utilizing that more in-house operationally. So that'll help us, as we had a high July, I'm hoping that we can kind of flatten back out in August, and carrying that practice forward, I hope that depending on what happens, that we will have some operational savings. And, because we do have, as a reminder, some new staff. So until they're fully up to speed, which I think with all this experience they're getting there. There's still more to do, but, is there a question?
Yeah, equipment, that we're renting, can you explain what equipment that is?
So we have one leak on Poplar, for example, where we brought a backhoe in and just rutted up the property, outside where it was approaching there's very sentimental flowers that we were very close to, so we didn't really make that neighbor happy. But it was a really, I think it was a 12-inch line that broke on Poplar, and it was a significant amount of water out there. And so with a rubber tired construction vehicle, it's at risk of getting stuck. Well, there was a decision to, not call help, but to rent an excavator, which is low ground pressure. It worked really well. And what was interesting about the changing to an excavator, could it have been done with a backhoe? Yeah, but it would have been messy and a lot longer. The excavator, which only costs $500 a day, we have for 2 days. So instead of calling a contractor for $14,000, we rented that piece of equipment, and it was low ground pressure. You can see it right next to the ruts that we already created, and so it was really good. But the benefit of that is a backhoe can only swing its arm 90 degrees. An excavator can turn around, avoid those flowers, and put it somewhere else. But it also, you can move those tracks and go side to side on either side of the pipe without having to move the outriggers.
Right.
And the more you start pumping the ground, the more you're gonna start getting stuck. So an excavator was a very efficient use of that tool, and we got in there and out very fast. We had some lessons learned from a previous leak on flowers about trees and how we reacted on another tree situation. Worked out really well too, and we had some savings. So a little bit of changing some practices and challenging staff and doing things different. We're already seeing some savings. And I think, carrying that forward, at some point, I've already started penciling it out. We could probably buy a piece of equipment within 2 years, maybe less, brand new. But we can look at getting used. It's just an option that I have to finish doing my business case. But I'm already looking at, to rent, we are at the mercy of it being available and after hours. So anyway, there's more to come on that, but I'm pleased with some of the progress that they're making. There's a lot to go over. Reviewing some of the training policies and things to making sure we're up to speed and we're doing things right, because that's important. And then as far as an administrative update, I'll do this one, because the next item I'm gonna have Emily talk about some of the work she's done.
Possibility of local agency grants, maybe Wind River or someone who might have a grant for us that would cover the cost of an excavator or
I
something.
already planned to, and I've already got a name for who I'm gonna chase down.
Excellent.
I'll be knocking on that door. I'm gonna continue to try to identify needs, so if I can get a sense of what might be available, then I might select something that would be appropriate.
One last question on equipment. Did we get the new hour clock for that trailer?
I think so. I did not ask.
Okay,
But
just
I
curious.
did
Was
see
it
it.
replaced?
I did see it crossed off, so I'm assuming so.
Okay, great.
Let's assume that it's done by now, but I've been long, I did not follow up on that.
That's okay.
And that's a case of where we got the equipment and we really have saved money.
Oh, yeah.
Jim, if it's okay, I kinda wanna talk about equipment.
Yeah, go for it.
We talk about equipment all the time. I am becoming more anti-backhoe as the time goes by. I understand that we wanna have something probably that has a skip loader bucket that you can do some front end work and move some material.
Yeah.
Having the backhoe necessitates having a dump truck and maintaining a dump truck. And insuring a dump truck. I don't know if we wanna maybe provide Jim with some direction to try and determine what the value of said dump truck and backhoe is at this point in time, and compare that to what it might cost to buy a suitable dump trailer, tracked skid steer,
track skid steer or a
And
mini
many
excavator?
well, you'd probably need both, unfortunately, on that. if you
Might be able to
went
find
back.
a good used mini X for $5,000.
Right, it would be radically different from what we currently have, and a huge, obviously not looking at that.
My only concern is the depth of some of the pipe.
Yeah.
The mini X would not cover it.
Right.
Right, so,
Yeah, and that's, and those, and when we call out for those deeper ones, or maybe the next one, could we have done some of these in the past, maybe, but we weren't ready for that. And, but, yes, depth, we do have some deep lines, and we're trying to save some money, especially on those more costly ones.
Okay. One thing to consider is on the dump truck, and I was at the trailer, and we still owe about 47,000 on that RCAC loan.
Now, the option that we could have, which I think is what we're doing now, is we're just renting as needed. It's just ultimately, it'd be great to have, we gotta go down this gravel, we already know we have, and that's down the road. That help, maybe even a grant, really. So,
The savings alone, doing it that route versus bringing in,
And don't forget to ask Aaron.
Action or Sunrise or some other company is huge. Yes.
so I'll see, I'll finish,
We'll have some OT on it, but it's still.
Yeah. So I'll continue to work on assessing, some of our tools, because I wanna figure out, it's important to know how we did things in the past, and get some of the, past practices and what worked with very little, right? And then, what are some of the things we're doing now, what are some things we know we can do better? And then, anything that we do get and purchase, we're gonna have maintenance costs, insurance, and so there's a lot to put together, but overall, I'm confident there's gonna be savings. But the worst case, we can just rent equipment, it'll be dropped off where we need it and picked up.
Yeah.
So that's just right now the best path to handle these things, and, we're fully staffed, I just wanna remind, and so we're able to handle more, yeah.
Okay. Questions from the audience?
Just a curiosity question. So we had to sell our generator because it didn't meet California's compliance when it comes to the gas engine situation.
Correct.
Would we fall into something like that if we were to get a skid steer or a mini excavator?
Yeah,
That
so-
we get one and then it's not compliance and we'd have to sell it
We
again?
would
it's
have
no
no
different than the dump truck that's aging rapidly and.
New
probably
compliances
approaching-
coming
right,
through,
right.
yeah.
You end up having to sell it out of state.
We sold the generator because it went through the car fire, not
Oh,
because
was
of
it?
compliance.
I thought it was because of the.
No,
Okay.
But we couldn't sell it locally though, we tried to
No.
sell it in
it
California.
was because of the car fire, we got rid of that generator.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we couldn't,
Right, and then the aftermath was, it wasn't compliant.
yeah, yeah, we couldn't sell it.
That's why I was
Not
thinking the
car-
compliance side of it was.
So,
Yeah, and so that, I didn't even think about that, but being in the Bay Area for as long as I was, I remember I got some equipment for, the city of Palo Alto, and we had to not accept it because that piece of equipment would literally bump the entire city in a different tier. So I will make sure we're not stinging ourselves, so I'm glad that was brought up, because I completely forgot about that.
That's our DMV person.
continuing with your report,
Okay. So administration, just real quick, after significant research and development of new procedures, our administration staff has streamlined the process of notifying customers about water service interruptions. It's still not without a long lag, just want to make sure that's clear. But it's not intuitive. Multiple notification methods have been added to ensure timely and effective communication. And in addition, the team continues to work diligently on managing delinquent accounts, maintaining consistency in their efforts, and we're already seeing strong results. So the next item, not right now, but I want Emily to talk about some of the good news about the accounting, but that's it for the general manager report. Do you have any questions?
yeah, I want to go back to one of the things I discussed with you and Morgan, and that is in reference to acquiring new customers and the challenges we're facing.
Okay. So the question is, how many people are we turning away because of, our policies, and like your scenario, for example, is, you wanna explain kind of the?
Sure, since
people
I'm looking to
facing-
split a piece of property off, I'm looking for, can I attach to the district become, pay the capacity fee, which is $12,051, I believe.
For
For a three-quarter inch, right, okay. But the pipe in front of me, at first, they thought it was anywhere from 27 and 24 inch, the AC pipe, okay. I would have, but since, because of the electrical work being done on the cell tower, found out that it's not AC pipe, but it could be older pipe. But because the isolation valves are not exercised for years, they're frozen open, I would have to have a company come in from Sacramento and do a hot tap, put a saddle on it, pop in, cost me a couple $1,000 for about a half hour's worth of work. I have to hire a contractor to even expose that and take back to where the meter was set, okay? And I have to consider all of those costs involved and possibly cat traffic control because the line runs just off of the white line at the edge of the road. And you hire an outside company for that, and you're looking at up to $4,000 a day versus approximately 23,000, 22 to 24,000 to put in a well. So Morgan has already told 8 potential customers
In the last
putting in a well. She has one more, and then my situation. So that could be 10 in a year, customers being turned away from the district. And if they're all three-quarter inch, you're at $120,000 plus on capacity fees, plus all of your base rates and whatnot.
So
So-
it's,
I don't know if I was included in that figure.
I don't know.
did call and have that conversation.
so we want to be able to say yes more, and that was an impact of, in the last year, I'm actually glad that Morgan had those stats. So, but it is a little bit more eye-opening and, trying to explore ways to be able to say yes. And I think the capital infrastructure projects will be one way to solve some of the constraints that we have right now. But, there's probably other things that we can identify to make it easier.
So these people don't have a well and are being told to put in a well?
They're coming to get water from the district because they have a vacant piece of land. I'd like to get a meter put in and, get water from them.
So why are we being told no?
Because, if it's AC pipe, even the guys at Sacramento and Hot Tap won't touch it.
Well, I don't know what
Because of
AC pipe.
That's the cement asbestos,
So,
which is a lot of our piping through here. I've been told, now I'll
Bill-
come
Bill
to
has-
you and Bill and Chad in a minute. I'm going by what I've been told,
And I think Dale may have some input.
okay? But I've been told that they won't touch it, so, but it's time for us to be educated, I think. So, Bill, you wanna start, or do you want to, Chad?
I'll start.
Start, Chad.
The district has a hot tapping machine, and we've installed many hot taps. And you can hot tap AC, and there's plenty of companies in Reading that will do it.
Interesting, so Morgan did not know that.
That's good to know.
Okay, that's good to know.
is it at? It's in the shop.
Yeah.
And is that something someone needs to be certified to run?
No.
Train,
No? Okay, very good, good to know.
Yeah, so
Makes
it's
it a bit
more
cheaper.
process that will probably be changing.
So that means it looks like we could have gone back to maybe even you.
so I still don't understand. So how do we know it's an AC line anyway? So we're just flat out telling people you can't hook up?
You have to inspect it, visually see it as AC or asbestos.
Right.
concrete.
I was told they didn't know in my situation because the as-bills aren't accurate.
Yeah.
And according to what is there, just up the street from me, maybe 20 feet, is a 24-inch line. Mine's an 8 because it was exposed with this electrical work. And according to the as-bills, just another 30 or 50 feet, it's a 27-inch line.
All the more reason to get this GIS database with the best
Okay.
information so that we can say yes. But it sounds like we have some operational abilities, and that is something I'll be chasing down.
All right, so I might still be able to
Yeah,
attach to the
Bill, I
district.
wanna hear it from Bill.
Yeah, let's hear Bill, please. Educate
Thanks
us.
for coming, Bill.
I'm not here to educate you, but we are in the business to sell water.
I
And new
agree.
customers are excellent revenue with the capacity
Yes.
fee. And just because it's AC, we shouldn't be turning it away. We have the means to tap into AC, whether it's a sectioning out a piece of pipe and doing a new tap, or even a hot tap the AC, which I'm not a big fan of, but we have the stuff to do it.
Okay.
And there's companies in town, like Tapmaster, that will do taps.
Cool.
And so if the district is turning away customers, that is highly unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's good,
It's a lot of
that's
money.
why I wanted this
A lot.
this discussion, so
And,
that.
and me personally, I've done subdivisions worth of hot taps.
Okay.
So,
Looks like you're the new trainer.
So can I hire you for a weekend?
Don't cover
Yeah.
So I think if I can, because I'm already really, this is new information, but, I wanna, when we get a handle on this, I wanna basically get the message out to anybody interested that has been told, come back and talk to us.
Yeah.
Including
In
that
case
one
it's not-
woman, that one application she had that said there was no real pipe, they'd have to cut across or whatever. Hadn't answered her yet on that one piece of property, so. Yeah, I don't want to turn down customers. Dale, please.
Yeah, I agree with Bill. When I worked for the city of Escondido, I did countless on asbestos. The ones that are difficult are the steel, because you gotta have a certified welder come in,
Right.
weld the coupling on there, and then hot tap that. But ACs, as long as you have a good saddle and a good hot tap machine, you know what you're doing, it's pretty easy.
So I got a follow-up question to that, please, for Bill, Chad, or you, Dale. I was also told, and this may be accurate or not, that I had to hire an outside contractor to expose the pipe before, and then someone else to hot tap. Would the district do that?
No, we did it all in-house here.
All in-house, thank you.
Would that be included in?
No, there's a separate fee for
Right,
the labor,
okay, so
I'm
let's-
fine with that.
Let's
Called
make some
called an
money.
installation fee.
Oh, yeah, installation fee, absolutely. Okay. I'm requesting a will serve letter.
So it looks like
That's
our
part of
policy
my
is better
split.
on that, so we'll have to probably back that up.
Okay,
some of the
we
messages.
need to deal with distribution.
I'll send you that link tonight.
Because we're
I'm already
losing,
I'm already talking
Money.
to them about training, so we will get caught up on this.
Sounds like we have the perfect person to train.
okay. So if it's too late on some of those folks, but let's reach back out to those others and see if we can't still get them.
Okay.
Well, that might have been determining factors for people if they were gonna buy a piece of property and they
Exactly.
bowed out of buying that
Thank
property,
you.
so we just lost a customer.
So, I don't know when this happened, but I know Morgan's been here for about a year and she said 8. And then the one that is proposed in mine, like I said, 120 grand into our coffers that we need.
Yep, so we'll be
So-
changing that. Okay,
I'm glad I brought this up.
I'm glad you did too.
Thank you, gentlemen. Good education, whether you intended it or not. Let's make sure the staff knows that, yes, we can do it. Okay, and then
Yeah, you bet.
figure out how.
Yeah.
And if they have to be trained, train them. Okay, operations report, I'm sorry, interrupted your manager.
Oh, no, I'm done, so I didn't know if there's any other questions.
Okay, anything else on the manager report? Anybody?
No.
I want to thank him for the job he's doing so far, a lot of difficulty things, kind of working through and steering us in the right direction. So, let's go ahead then with the you were touching administrator.
Okay, so this one, we've got a breakdown of administration, treatment, and distribution. So, I want Emily, if she would, to carry this forward and kind of explain, all the work that she's done.
So the delinquent accounts have declined across all the categories. So this time I broke it down by the percentages of the number of accounts and the revenue that we're actually collecting. So the negative, that's the percent that we collected. 30 to 60%, is showing the larger delinquency is the larger decline, sorry. So it's just showing that we're preventing people from being too far. And that's usually when they stop answering our calls and ignore us and stop paying altogether, to be honest with you. So we're being a lot more proactive in the beginning, to work with them and talk to them, make sure they know, maybe you can't pay your full bill, you need to contact us and we can work with you. We've 147 delinquent notices. In August, that already dropped to 77. That's how many we already got to respond and come in and work with us. We started filing liens for the first time in like 3+ years.
Or more than that.
Yeah, last month. So last month we had 9 liens. This month we had 15 liens and 1 release. So,
And release. I like
and
that.
1 release. And then there's accounts that I'm gonna have to write off.
We wrote some off about 3 years ago. I really didn't like it. I wanted, that's why we brought in a part-time staffer to work on people in the arrears. Now, have you heard anything about the state program? I know Lee
Well,
will
the
expire.
I have not chased that down, all I did was
Okay.
identify that that's coming, and as soon as it's funded, we can point, our
The customers
over to that and probably help them apply.
I looked at it like 2.5 weeks ago.
I don't think we can apply it all for them. All we can do is really direct them to the site. They have to apply themselves.
Mhm. And I think with just, proper transparency really being out there and Mark and I be able to speak on it very clearly.
Yes.
Customers are gonna jump at it and appreciate it. Just the payment plan alone, they get excited and thankful, Most people don't want to default.
I agree. On the dollars in the arrear, are some of them on payment plans? Is some of that money tied up in payment plans?
A lot of it is, a lot of those are the 60 to 90 day range.
Okay,
So the 60 to 90 tend to be the people that are working with us.
right.
30 to 60 is kind of loose. I mean, maybe they get paid once a month and they pay us on the 32nd day.
Yeah.
I mean,
Disadvantage, some of them are saying, I'll pay the electric this month and the water next month.
but in the last 3 months, the 121 plus accounts, it used to be at 129,000, and we've already got it down to 85.
Right.
So, with more time is all I need.
Most of those are the 1081s, aren't they?
A lot of them are the 1081s.
Right.
As long as I
Okay.
can get a hold of them, it's the conversation, because a lot of people just don't pay it for like 9 months, and then I have a talk with them, explain, and they're like, oh, and they pay me. So.
And some of the work before that was updating contact information.
Right.
Oh goodness, yes.
Right.
We've been attacking that, especially with all these leaks, it's kind of coming forward quite a bit, because people are calling us and saying, I didn't get a notification, and you look and we don't have any contact information, no phone, no
It's
email,
outdated, yeah.
nothing. And if they don't go on our website and sign up, then we have no way to contact them if we don't have it in our COSI program.
And the email, the newsletter does state in there, hearing them to update the information for you guys, so, yeah.
Yeah, and we've had a great response with that, and some people are just emailing us, and now every single time we talk to anyone on the phone, Mark and I say, let me just make sure I have the right information, because a lot of the phone numbers we have in that program are landlines, and 98% of those don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So, we're just both being real diligent and trying to get that done. So we're seeing excellent progress in it going down, collecting more funds, which we need.
Thank you.
Then next we have the water treatment plant operations. So Bill, correct me if I'm bumbling around over here, but so the treatment plant produced 691 acre-feet of surface water for last month, and our district used 472 acre-feet for July. And so total for the water year, we're looking at 1,411 acre-feet. And well production, sorry about that. I forget why I had that. But zero production on the wells. The treatment staff have been busy with routine maintenance, and so that's actually quite a common thing. There's a lot that's involved with the ongoing monitoring. That's a constant process, which I think has its own headaches. But we're producing 7 million gallons daily. Mandatory PFAS sampling has been conducted at the wells, minus well 1, right? Well 1 did not because it's not working. So 2 of the 3 were sampled by a grant funded from Geosyntech. And this is to comply with the PFAS general order of the state. And then 1 of the 3 wells, like I said, is out of service due to electrical issue. That is going to require some pretty significant crane activity and pulling it all out and getting access to it. So
Sounds like a great-
we're assuming it's a short, I think, at this point, but, you know, that'll be its own capital project to kind of identify. So the treatment plant have also, completed their, what do you call it?
SCBA?
You want to call it studio or anything?
That's underwater. We're not that cool.
Not that cool. I didn't wanna
Yeah.
do it wrong, but I do the rest of the chlorine gas. You know, Scott has to complete this several trainings, annually. Training number, five filter, the waste control actuator has been replaced. Backwash pond, you know what, I actually have a full breakout of the backwash pond, I'll see if I can do it by memory too, but, backwash pond repair project, pond number 2 is forming has started, and the concrete pouring will begin the week of August, 25th.
Question or request, can we provide either on the website or why not some photos? When the first pond was being done, it was nice to see the progress going on and whatnot.
Sure, we'll get some, we'll put some,
Okay,
maybe
thank
on
you.
Facebook too, yeah, that's a good idea, so, thank you, guys. Yeah, we keep talking about stuff, we might as well have pictures, so, thank you, I'll definitely do that. Also, you may notice, we acquired, a TV, and the intent of that, it would have been helpful for the budget meeting we had, I could show some of the stuff, but maybe one of these days I'll do a presentation, or maybe Dale can utilize it, but it's something that we can all look at, so maybe we can go through some slideshows when we're done, and kind of talk about all the challenges we overcame. So treatment staff also replaced a storm drain that consisted of 20 feet of 1.5-inch steel pipe with 3-inch plastic pipe, and most of the materials were reused from other channels. Water treatment staff fabricated lock boxes for the Mealtown conduit cylinders that were vandalized. Someone cut the locks and dumped trash at 2 locations. Anything I missed?
Surprise?
No, I was just, I'm looking at Bill, sorry.
Yeah.
Let's see, from memory.
How did you find it though? if they,
We try to drive the conduit once a month. We just inspect for vandalism, locks on every cylinder.
so did somebody have to climb down in there to get the trash out?
Some of it, yeah, around the outside too, that's the easy part. So,
Bill, had any progress on the electrical panel that you were so worried about?
still worried about it. Yeah, no progress.
We'll get that on our list of.
Money's the issue.
Yeah, hopefully, I'm not gonna ask too much from the county, I'm already asking a lot. But, yeah, we'll keep progressing, there's more electrical things too that I'm learning. Now, as far as the backwash pump project, we're already, we used up all the grant funds, and we're in the contingency, portion of our grant funds, because we've also done some extra work and addressed some issues. Now, when we have to pay Case Engineering, they've got some outstanding invoices. Now, we're getting close to the end of the project, where we're gonna close it out, and there's a chance, it may not be a good chance, but there's a chance we can get some reimbursement for staff. So my plan there is to go back and utilize the meeting minutes of all of PACE, and, because they'll have, you know, who attended the meeting, and so we'll have a recreation of the time cards with a signature on the bottom that says, to the best of my ability, this is accurate, and then we're gonna submit that for staff reimbursement, because it is eligible under a grant.
Right.
The problem is it wasn't included in the grant application. And they already sort of said, no, that's not something we can do right now, but you can try when we go to close out, and we'll make a decision then. But we do have some more information to provide. And that is, I'm not gonna hold my breath on that one, but it would be a pleasant surprise if that does happen.
Did that sludge dump run, where the sludge was put back here in that hall, was it just under $1,000 that they get put in for
I
reimbursement?
think it was, based on what I saw.
$700 and some dollars.
1964.
Yeah, it wasn't that much,
Okay.
but we are able, we are trying to excavate ponds. One, you know, some of the sludge, because, you know, we're doing this project to have a good, good product at the end, and if we can address pond 1 that we weren't, it wasn't in the scope, you know, using contingency funds we're looking at that right now too, so we're getting quotes to be able to, do some maintenance under that grade. So, we're doing what we can. Distribution now, I'm trying to do it before dark here. So, leak management, so this week we conducted several planned, water leak repairs. Fortune Way affected 15 customers, Lassen Avenue impacted only one, and West Jordan's Lane, is that right, is impacted only one customer.
Those were curb stop type leaks or something?
Couldn't tell you, but
Okay.
it wasn't part of that. But, that board has been filling up, and they're really knocking a lot of these things out. There's probably some that are, done that are not even on this. Cool. Site cleanup efforts were completed on Cimarron Trail and continued on Poplar Avenue, so, dressing it back up once it's dry, just pretty much, leaving it clean. While some of the areas were really wet, all stumps and brush were free from, tree removals, along with the main line that we cleared. So a schedule repair is planned for Old Country Road on, actually, that already happened.
19th,
Yeah.
and actually Gary will
This is part of
complete
that.
it without turning
Anybody
anybody
off.
off, and they complete it in an hour.
So we're getting
Wow.
there on some of that stuff. So this is, as packet is submitted Friday. So shut off notices, we kind of went over that, went from over 100 to just 14. That's a pretty significant effort right there. Equipment, so we secured a competitive rental rate for a small excavator from Sunbelt Rentals right here in Anderson. Actually met the guy today. They offer direct weekend and emergency contact support, so it turns out that they do have personnel available to help us out. So there's 4 numbers that we can call, and somebody will get down there and open things up for us. So at this point, they can drop it off, but there's a labor rate for that, or we can pick it up.
There's a labor rate for that.
Yeah, we were already on it, so.
And overtime.
Yeah, so we're gonna utilize them, and the other thing that's interesting that I didn't realize, and I can't believe it's true, is some of those trench plates, those road plates, that we cover a trench and kind of leave it like, they come from Sacramento.
As a rental.
So, yeah, and there's gotta be a better way, but they're rare and they're hard to find according to some. So what Sunbelt is doing is they're gonna stock some kind of just for us.
Nice.
So it is kind of nice, and so we'll have a little bit more efficiency, I think, when it comes to that kind of stuff. So that's good news. Meter reading, almost don't want to read this one because it's something today. We had an anomaly today, and we're still trying to figure it out. But meter reading will begin, it already began, and then we have organized 2 large non-overlapping routes on the north side and the south side to optimize time and manpower, and this ensures efficient completion of meter reading. Now, some of the issues we have now, we have some weird anomaly, it's just not making sense. We have a Badger system and a CUSI that are basically kind of doing this at each other, and we're kind of thinking we know which system it is, but we're chasing that down, and we don't want to upset a bunch of people with bad numbers. So if you happen to see some bad numbers, please bear with us while we figure out what happened. But right now, we're just chasing that down. So that's it for ops report. Any questions on that?
Board, any questions for our manager? Anybody from the community have any questions on the report? I'll get in here. We're gonna go standing committee first. We'll get there.
Thank you.
Thank you, though. Standing committees, we're gonna go to, you first.
Yep, Ag Committee, we have the Happy Valley Farmers Market this weekend from 7, 8, gosh, I do that every time, 8 to 11 at Bonnie's Burgers. If you are interested in being a vendor, it's $10 to sign up.
Show up about 7 o'clock, I'll be there. And, have fun.
Yep.
We're doing well, all the vendors are pretty happy with it. I'd like to see more produce. I'm working with a couple of the vendors there too. We're sharing secrets.
Additionally, it has been discussed potentially doing an Ag Committee meeting in September.
Possibly.
I think that there's going to be a lot going on in September,
You let me know,
but
your chair.
I'm gonna try and contact Audra Harrell and
Okay,
get something lined up for the end of September, so we do something at least in Q3.
olive harvest will be coming up near the end of September into early October also.
Okay.
So, farm market, second and fourth Wednesdays, so we have 5 left. The one this weekend.
Second and
Second
fourth
and fourth
Saturdays.
Saturdays, September and October. We will not do November. It's been windy this year. We've had to bring stakes and
Yeah.
keep people's canopies from flying all over the place. It's been, but we enjoy ourselves out there. It's a good thing to do. Finance committee.
We didn't meet this last month.
No, they're not ready for us, are they?
Yeah, no, not ready for us, so nothing on finance.
So as soon as, you can
Yeah.
get it ready for us, we'll be happy to meet. We do still have room on the finance, the planning, steering, and the personnel for community members. By the way, Ag committee has a couple, 3 actually. But, you know, members of the community are welcome to apply, and if we approve you, and I don't know why we wouldn't, you can be sitting in on these meetings. Listen in, have some input, help us out. Board member items.
No, did,
Planning
We
and
had-
steering.
Oh, planning, steering, and personnel, sorry.
and I want Centerville also.
Okay, well, you know what?
Oh, yeah.
Why don't we, if we could in the future, add ad hoc committees?
Yeah, we can do ad hocs.
You know,
on this, yeah, you're
Just so that we cover that, because one ad hoc is actually should be closed, at the end of this meeting today. The recruitment, once the contract's
Thank you.
signed.
That was-
Technically, we should disband the ad
That's
hoc.
right.
so- Okay, so let's go on down here to planning and steering.
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay, except you have a new member of your committee and a new alternate. Okay. Personnel,
We
who's
have,
the chair of that?
me.
You are, all right.
We have met and we have set out some priorities and, we're going forward with that, and we're also, doing, updating and making more accurate job descriptions.
All right, I think we're gonna be discussing some of that in closed session.
So, we also did a priority list of things that we wanna try to start working on. If you take a look at this survey here that, Emily provided, and Jim and Emily, in regards to the employees, so this is one of the things that's gonna be very helpful, for us to concentrate on, you know, retention and issues and incentives. And we're looking at trying to meet individually with employees to, some of the comments were, I'm not gonna say negative, but they showed concerns. And so we
Understand.
wanna be able to try to identify
Will you be
some
bringing
specific.
this up in the closed session?
No.
No.
So we wanna be able to identify those concerns and see how we can work on them. And we need the employees' input, so that's really
All right.
important. What we also prepared was a scope of what our standing committee should be working on, and we are going to be bringing that to the September meeting for the board to approve for us.
All right, and then you wanted.
Centerville, so,
Centerville.
we met, by ourselves without Centerville to start the process of really nitpicking, the contract and where things we don't agree with, and where we can see we've got a lot of improvement on our expenses, that they're not being charged properly, and a true up at the end of the year. So those are all things that we're probably, with personnel, we're gonna try to, meet every 2 weeks. Our Centerville, we may have to do that too, so that we know we've got to give it a lot of attention. So we'll be doing a lot of stuff one-on-one, and then once we can combine it and really look at some of the numbers, be able to
When will
report
you
back.
be ready to share some of the findings with the board?
I'm gonna give myself 2 weeks to go through the last 5 years' worth of data, and, so I would think in September I can give you some numbers,
Excellent.
so.
All right, anything else? No? Any board member items?
I did.
Sorry, yes, go ahead.
Did have one. Fire hydrant at the end of Hoke has been out of service since we did our hydrant testing campaign, which I believe was spring of
Has a
2024.
sleeve on it,
It's
right?
got a sleeve on it. It's very visible now. It's not like it's an inoperable hydrant that nobody knows about. Starting to gain attention in the neighborhood, so it's something I would encourage us to try and fix. I know that money is always usually the issue. You can tell people that for so long and then they.
So my understanding with that one is that I thought we bought the hydrant, which was
No.
$20,000 or so. And, well, because that was on her list, that was on Morgan's list when she was here 3 or 4 or 5 months ago, giving a report.
Right,
She
it was on the list, but I
She
didn't know.
talked about doing it, but I think we had a break, and so then it,
No, we have it, and I don't know what it's called, but the bottom part that goes in the ground is the complete wrong size, so it won't work. It's in the shop right now.
And also you have to buy another valve to put on it.
well, that's the big kicker. That's
Isolate
what-
that.
yeah, that was the kicker, that was what was.
Fair, you know. It got installed directly into the distribution line
Right.
off of.
And then you have to have the correct size rice, also maybe got the wrong size rice, it's 24 for
And
the
I don't know if
city.
this is the same one, but we have a 4-inch line for a 6-inch hydrant, I don't know if that's the same one. But is that the same one, maybe? So maybe it's a wrong part because it's a 4-inch line.
What do you know about the bill?
Well, yeah,
Nothing?
well,
It's been out
I'm
for
staying out of
many
it.
years.
thanks for bringing visibility to it, I'll see if I can get an update for that. So,
Anything else?
okay on the street?
Okay.
Okay, yeah, right off of-
Okay, right off of.
Thank you, Linda, I saw
I
that.
can help with that.
Director Beaver, anything? I have one item, can you give us an update on the audits?
Yeah, I might have it with me. Might have it with me. Actually. Alright, so we've engaged J.R. Martin to assist us with the audit. So we're corresponding with the owner of the office. She sent over a client list that the audit firm has been using, and just so everyone knows, this is the fiscal 23 audit. And
22, 23?
Yep, and so it's holding up 4 and 5. And so there's been a number of reconciliations, and so what was interesting is that the auditor would send over something random, like 20 accounts, and so when we were looking at them, we're like, well, the numbers aren't matching with what you submitted. So there was some back and forth on what happened there, and I think that that's been resolved, but.
Are they able to remove some of those negative findings?
Yeah, we are doing that.
Okay.
So, and that's the good part of this delay, is that we're removing some of this. Some of it has to do with an understanding of what was needed and what was asked by the auditor, might not have been there. So J.R. Martin was challenging the auditor about, is this what you're looking for? And we're like, well, we can provide that. So they have been doing a number of those things, and I do know that we are knocking some of those findings off. So we found a clear client payment report in CUSI that we think is going to help with some of this discrepancy between the 20 random client accounts. And so we sent those reports over on the 12th, and today's the 20th. And so we are waiting to hear back from them. So that's where it's at. So we did submit a response to their request, and then it's just kind of in the lower now.
Okay, and in an email I saw an estimate on the charges. Was that just for the 22, 23 and the 23, 24? Because there was so much more engagement, and I was looking at $60,000+
so
just for those two.
Oh,
I
Jesus.
asked,
That's why I bring it
yeah,
up.
I asked J.R. Martin for a couple of things. It's not just what, because they have a scoping fee to help us with the audits already.
Mhm.
But I asked them for because Shireen's got public sector experience, and there's a certain flavor to the she has private sector, and there's a certain flavor to the public sector of closing out a fiscal year and then starting the new fiscal year. And so there's a little bit of a checklist that what I want to do is to, I asked for a breakout of what would it take to kind of do some training with Shireen. So once we have it, we'll make good notes and we'll carry it forward. And then also, this annual kind of helping us is a lot of heavy lifting. At one time, they suggested that let's do something quarterly. And so I asked them, okay, why don't you submit something? And some of the options that are there, we don't have to exercise. And I didn't get a very good look at it, but yes, if we went with everything that they can help us with, it would be in the mid-60s.
Right.
So-
Could you do something for me, please?
Mhm.
And forward that email to our finance committee chair, please.
Yeah, you
So
bet.
she has a copy of it.
Yeah, so I also want to talk real quick about, I started to mention, so the JPIA claim. So we have 177,000 in account that we were anticipating another 80,000 that we would probably have to pull from reserves and then pay back the JPIA insurance claim because of what they saw was double dipping on a grant. Well, it looks like there's a number of eligible expenses that can fall in that JPIA claim. So that offset, that 80,000, we're pretty close to that. So if anything, we're gonna give the money that's already in an account back to them. But if we continue to find some of these eligible expenses for that car fire incident, we can, just give back a smaller amount of money and not have to pull anything from reserves. I did not anticipate that that was gonna happen. I was hopeful it was, because in September, I was planning on going to one of their board meetings and basically telling them that, you know, based on some, at the time, we didn't have the binder, which we found, thank you for, to Bill for finding, that, I was gonna try to negotiate half of that 80,000, and that would have been in a future meeting that they had. Fortunately, I don't think we're gonna have to do that, and it'll be a much smaller number that is gonna go back to them than what we thought. Because it was like over 600,000 for that claim, and just how the money got spent on things. We fortunately did track it, so we had a JPIA binder we found, also the same day Bill brought over the other one. And so Shireen has been diving into that and found other expenses that we can utilize to offset the JPIA claim payback.
Does that include staff time, Bill's overtime? Because I know you spent a lot of time out there right around that and the aftermath.
No, if, I have to look at that claim to see what is eligible, but I know expenses, as far as vendors and things, are certainly there, but let me see if there is a way to do that.
Staff, administrative, everything?
But also if the grant also covered some of that, you know, maybe it's not eligible, but
Okay.
let me figure that out. So I'll get, the finance chair, an email update on, all things finance actually from Shireen. And so next month, Shireen, I almost had her here today, but, next month she'll be able to give an update on everything. So she's been diving in, kind of like everybody else there's been a lot of new staff, and, she's made a lot of progress, and so she's actually speaking a lot, you know, with a lot of confidence. And next month will be a really good, report on audits, that claim, which hopefully we'll have resolved in the coming couple weeks, and, close out the last fiscal year.
Excellent. Questions from the board members at all? Anything? Nope. From the community before we wrap this up? Nope. Okay. Before we go to closed session, there's one more thing I'd like to do, and that is take care of a contract.
Okay.
Then we'll go to closed session. So we should do this with the public here.
Living cutting. Here we go.
We need you to sign your life away.
No problem.
Lifetime commitment here.
Okay.
We have a cot for you in the back.
Yeah, I saw that, thank you.
Do you want him to sign first, or you?
Well, if we care to approach, and, sign one copy, you sign the other copy, there's a pen right there if you like. Okay. No, I've been through all of it, there are no initials required. Here we are.
I'm just gonna put an X and you have to wait.
Mr. X, there you are.
Oh, man, he did that, doesn't he?
Just about.
All right.
I'll do this one by 10, so.
As long as it looks like the last one, I don't care.
Now they're all different. I'm practicing that.
Oh, good. Okay, one copy is yours, one copy I will turn over to the district to file away.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And this will be on the district website then, sometime in the near future. Thank you. Well, at this time, we're going to adjourn the meeting and go into closed session. It is 8:12 p.m.